Welcome everyone to developing Linux distribution from scratch, step 666, or actually I think more like 10,666. Anyway, I wanted to today no Spark because it works now, yay! So, also you don't see this because eDisplayPort. I wanted to do some overdue cleaning though, so today no Linux kernel Spark bisecting because the big things are fixed and it works for me. So welcome from my Spark workstation. Ultra Spark goodness. I wanted to do some overdue spring cleaning now that our Linux distribution becomes increasingly successful. So I also should from some previous live stream. Let me talk while I modify my screen setup here. So the thing is, so we have some old files from 15-20 years ago, defs. That's not the big thing. I will delete them now. This is long overdue, and obviously now with all our PR better website, highly appreciate these contributions, but also these YouTube live streams and all the other surrounding stuff becoming more popular. And we have one of the biggest releases ahead where so much is fixed that it works too good to be true, right? Even on Spark and SG-Octane and RISC-V. Basically everything. So the question is, should I delete some Easter eggs that I think Claire did and I never used? Let me just resize this somehow. Previously had this, not even sure why, probably for zooming reasons, it's probably. Easter eggs, so should each file we ship in a Linux or like any OS, for example, we have here a file that probably next to nobody, probably only Claire from original Rock Linux fame and it's like 25 years Linux distribution. I know my files, I know each file by name. So here in conf, we have, for example, node, etc conf node, and probably next to nobody except me noticed that, right? Because obviously I do my due diligence and actually review what we are shipping. So we are shipping this file since as long as I can remember, so certainly some 20 years. So the purpose of this file, and so I'm wondering, so the question is, should I delete it too, right? So I will now delete defs, which was from, this is included in early boot. This is mostly pointless now. I should theoretically check if, deleting some old file, I don't think, I would need to, I think this is pointless in terms, anyway, I need to check. So probably also we shouldn't, maybe something some UDEV rule could do if we need any of those anyway, or also I think we do this explicitly in the boot script anyway, so also like who's still running GPM stuff, and if so, then it shouldn't be there, right? So this file will be deleted, actually prepared for that. There are a couple of other such files, right? So also including boot messages. I have this prepared also already. Between 48 hours kernel bisecting, what you do, you think about your Easter eggs and you count. It's like 100 times booting a Spark kernel and git bisecting. You have time to scroll files. So and also in similar notes, that's probably this 5 init. Yeah, so further I did a lot of work the last years live on YouTube of perfecting also, like there were sometimes errors or warnings or stuff. For a decade I ignored it because it was booting, it's fine enough. But that's the difference, that's perfection, right? That is dedication of like I got to a point where in T2, the last ISO, there was not a single, at least as far as I remember. Previously there was like this one UDEV rule or that UDEV groups didn't exist and stuff. Like for a decade I closed my eyes and like, yeah, whatever, who cares, bloody UDEV rules. But that's of course the difference between some random stuff works and yes, developers really perfected it, right? Or product designers, quality assurance team, and all the dozens of people you need to run a Linux distribution. So I further there's basically also yesterday, what is the point of in your boot, nobody looks there, right? In my opinion, in the system boot, there should not be pointless stuff. There should only be reasonable important stuff, right? And setting the bloody host name to something, in my opinion, that's not really pointless, right? You're interested if some mount fails, if your SCSI drives failed, if other stuff, right? Or ECC memory or system bus errors like on the Spark, right? So also, I mean, obviously this is also, why do I talk about this now, right? Perfection, dedication, cleaning, and should we keep some Easter eggs, right? Should I delete this note that I showed you? Of course, I know people love Easter eggs. I mean, I could think of, yeah, so what is the purpose of this file? It's like, yeah, you put, I mean, also, yeah, like, this file is literally over 20 years old, remember? I mean, I don't even remember, this was before my time, but I read about, do people remember the time 40 years ago where the internet was that slow that there was no domain name server and people shared the etc host file, whereby teams like, hey, someone added one computer to the internet, here's the new etc host file or stuff, or you want to connect to our lab test server, here is the entry to etc hosts, like it's like 1998. Anyway, so I mean, server, I mean, theoretically this idea is not that bad, right? If you work with more people, maybe people even use it, like leave in the comments below. Maybe I make a poll before I commit other stuff today, like this devfs stuff and system boot stuff. Because there's also other stuff, right? What I just did on the screen here. So this, I will also, not only the host name, this is just the stuff I see, like you git bisect a Spark kernel and you see this actually, the 50th time you wonder, like, do we really need to print the host name? It's like, who freaking really cares? Yeah, obviously, like activating udefd. I mean, that's obviously, also I theoretically have on my to-do, like I have 700 lines of to-do, right? Very theoretically, I mean, not only systemd, eventually we have systemd, just nobody appears to want to use it, but also makes this more modular. Maybe the system boot stuff should not be all in one file. We certainly could split this in more modular pieces theoretically, but that's not the highest priority. I like my stuff working. So yeah, this setting host also, what do we have here? All right, so just setting this also, yeah, running hotplug. I mean, this is absolutely zero point. Also, I need to check. So, for example, activating udefd was previously not checked. This didn't print a OK or not OK thing status line. That's what this check here is doing. So, block split is a headline. And instead of running, like, I mean, so this hotplug plus plus, by the way, was a C++ thing. So this was pre-udev and before udev, like udev 1 or 0.10 or whatever. And so this was synthesizing the, do we even still, this was still in there for reasons running? This was really still running? Do we even have that? Do we even ship this by default? I don't think we ship this. What did this even, I'm not even sure, was it? What does check do? What does check? Yeah, or we didn't even have that. Anyway, I knew that existed. It was just similar to other stuff. It wasn't a priority, right? So hotplug plus was a C++. I wrote a C++ version of hotplug because obviously who wants to run? Was hotplug even shell? Maybe the initial hotplug stuff. Pre-udev 15 years ago. Maybe that was even shell. I don't know. Maybe it was C. Either case was an attempt of can we do embedded. So this was also. I also started an embedded STL which supported only the bare minimum for extremely like 15, 20 years ago in an attempt of can we more statically type. Like before people loved Rust, I said it before, right? I loved perfect and perfectly clean and so on code long before Rust. Anyway, long story short, so it's time to clean up the last few things. Theoretically, I will probably before this release, yes. So I mean, I should not like the famous last stuff, right? The senior developer product lead breaks everything just before the release. I hope this little bit cleanup will not famous last words. I hope this last cleanup does not break too much stuff. But yeah, of course we will test it, right? I will test install it on the Sunblade soon, aka maybe today. So I will probably also last minute move some files, because why not last minute move some files? In general, I don't recommend it the most, just we will have more, we have more users now. We are approaching the top 10 Linux distributions among the 2026, so. And it's like, going forward, I want Like I want a base that is where at least the major things of my 700 lines to do files are sorted. So for example, we have here in this files, I believe, we probably should, yeah, for example, init tab, right? And maybe even so some of those files should be in this 5 init, and I will probably move them over. What even was this thing here? So very theoretically, this is the point of, I'm not even sure if we really need this. I don't even, do we even man etc? Like this kind of stuff, why do we even, this might be pre-UDEV and T2 cleaner, is that totally clean? Let's probably get some stuff. Grep, like, do we have downloads here? We have, even 2.3 gigs. Why? All right, maybe this was some test stuff. Nothing like deleting some stuff here. Because grep etc file system. And maybe that is unused. So I will probably, yeah, obviously we shouldn't ship, I mean, not like Sun Solaris or how did they rename it? Or Oracle's Broken Linux. I mean, we obviously do not want to ship random files. This is also a bitrot, right? Not only in C, C++ code, even configuration files. So it's overdue spring cleaning. Just now we do it in autumn. And so base this files, I guess, SVN ARM etc file systems. Maybe mount use that. I'm not even, do we have man for etc? Maybe we could grab, maybe that's something that mount used. Here's even IBM etc file systems. So I didn't make this stuff up. I just realized, you know, there's also in general source code like pro tip, right? Sometimes like dedicate some 10% or 5% or something of like finding bitrot and completely old stuff. So 4.3, like preventing bitrot, right? It makes no sense. Like otherwise you end up like in 10 years, like now, like what is this file? What is that file? Some leftovers pre-UDEV, like defffsd and stuff. So 4.3 BSD system store list of block devices and mount points in etc fstab. Yes, we're still using that. SVR4. Systems store block devices and mount points information etc v fstab for reasons. AIX stores block devices and mount points information etc file system file. Okay, so apparently the etc file systems is there. So that is different from what we have there. I believe that was maybe from earlier stuff, but we also have proc file systems, right? And also nowadays we anyway identify that. I mean, theoretically we could SVN block that, but maybe that wasn't touched since revision 1. Wouldn't surprise me if that is. Maybe I deleted that already. Yeah, edit ECT, hey cool, just found, should fix a non-problem that MS does is tried before. Okay. So 2004, it wasn't even me, it's like even I, so like 20 years later, I expected revision 1, but hey, revision 3748. But, okay, edit HFS plus to, I mean, I even edit something 2005. I mean, I remember a lot of stuff, right? But forgive me for not remembering adding etc file systems. And apparently edit, it's like also probably was typo here. Thank you very much. 2007 added SquashFS to the additional, so apparently autoprop, maybe. We should probably check, but yeah, probably we should do a little bit more due diligence. I mean, not only Googling that randomly, finding stuff at IBM iX, but also maybe in util-linux. And that is just surrounding stuff. People always think like, yeah, Linux distribution of software creates its stuff by itself. But no, it's actually, people need to think, have some ideas, and then maintenance, right? Decade old, quarter century old systems. Eventually there's some bitrot accumulated, some rust, some oxidation. And we don't like rust and oxidation. So download mirror util Linux. Best the latest version of probably 39. Do they still use AETC file systems? Oh wow, they still Why do they? Okay, this is some built-in pass. So that is still a thing apparently. Wow. Okay, apparently it does here. There is at least if etc file systems ends in a line with a single asterisk, mount will read proc file systems afterwards while trying all file system types will be mounted with the mount option silent. So yeah, apparently that is still a thing in include path names of etc file systems and context mount apply pattern to etc file systems and proc file systems. Mount will try to read the file, so that is still read to my surprise. So much to I found bitrot. It's like yeah. It's funny that it only does it if it ends in that. But basically, mount edit info on asterisk and etc file system short name option of vfet try proc file systems if the later is later written differently. Is later really spelled like this? Maybe it is. Huh? If the later, is it not pronounced later? Anyway, so maybe, I mean, I never had an issue, except so probably I added this because stuff wasn't auto-mounted like HFS or whatever. Probably those I have in there. So yeah, best pro tip, do some research before you just delete it, right? So because no, this is just, and this is also this file package, right? So this is stuff, so maybe revert that. I don't want to, so much to senior project lead engineer doesn't want to break stuff just before the release. But I mean, I never had an issue. I mean, nowadays, we have this already. I don't quite, I mean, do we even want to try that? I'm a little bit puzzled. Do we really, does it mean each time we mount something? Okay, I mean, to be fair, I mean, okay, that would only be if a user does it without supplying a type. Okay, if a user mounts often stuff, but I would say this stuff should be auto-detected, right? I mean, not this randomly trying a list is really old-fashioned. I'm somewhat, the question is, does it auto-load, right? I mean, in my microkernel, I would check magics and not rely on some random lists. I also wonder if it's the best thing to try all this stuff before. Okay, maybe I don't touch it today because it works, but yeah, we checked it. This file is even still a thing. So init tab, this certainly, the init tab shouldn't be there for non-init tab based systems. So basically this means SVN move the etc init tab to init this 5 init, and certainly that needs some adaptation, so this is just that it's already away. By the way, we have etc conf hardware and kernel that are included early, and here's also the conf node, right? Theoretically I could mark it for deletion already, and then I am not committing this yet, but just as a reminder for myself that maybe I delete this. To finish the sentence from 10 minutes ago, so the point is to make nodes, right? Maybe not the worst thing. Although server, I mean, an IP address, nah. Although the only thing I could mention in the data center to, if you have IPv6 stuff or like forwarding, like if you're in a data center and you have IPv6 stuff and you have like this is AVM and you make nodes here of that's WW, Z, and Z is MX, but I mean, I don't know, leave maybe in the comments below. I mean, also, I mean, nobody will, I mean, this local software, I mean, this is truly old, right? Because even, I mean, in T2 you would normally install, I mean, okay, user local, I mean, it's basically, I mean, this would be like Verilog stuff, like this what is it, ICE, whoever company, Diamond or whatnot, or God forbid, NVIDIA nonsense. Changes, I mean, this would be like this is running there. That I don't know. Leave in the comments like quick documentation and notes about the system. Probably never everybody document, nobody documents stuff. I mean, it's a point into the right direction, but what's the point if it's an Easter egg that only probably the only one, probably the only one beside the original author that probably was clear. We could actually fact check that too. In this files svnlog node, that was etc conf node. It must be revision 1. Yeah, initial import revision 1 2003. Hey, I even modified it. And recently new lines. What did I do there? 2006. Okay, what you compiled, okay, I slightly rephrased it, only 2006, was it 2000? 2006 apparently, crazy stuff. Yeah, I guess, what's the point? I mean, maybe we hide a nicer Easter egg than this node that nobody's using. I also wonder if so this net issue is nice, I've done this, but maybe, maybe we should change this ANSI issue to maybe what we have in NeoFetch. Maybe a slightly smaller version of that, though, might be more, I mean, having this kind of NeoFetch output might not be the super first idea, but also, you know what, I'm a little bit tired that this hides so much. Yeah, I think this is slightly, I don't really want to hide so much stuff, but leave in the comments below. I think I at least trim these new lines. I'm not really sure why that had to be there. And I like this net issue. I recently done this for the PS3, inspired from other OS. That's, yeah, I think these are my, yeah. Obviously this ANSI issue is not in the right style anymore. That probably leave in the comments below. I guess we should slightly, maybe potentially, but leave in the comments below, slightly brand that to our new T2 branding. Anyway, that's just some more cleanups, and then we are finally good to go to release one of the best Linux distribution, and certainly one supporting the most architectures really soon. I hope you enjoyed this, learned something. Please comment below what you think about this kind of Easter eggs and login branding. Hope you enjoyed this, learned something, and have a good day night, and hope to see you soon for all the next fun stuff to come. Hey, 0 frames, exceptionally.